Alf, is Fanatics going to move out of sports cards? What's going on, sports card hobby family? Another day, another sports card video. Hopefully you are doing amazingly well today and had a good long weekend if you're here in the US. We just got back from the mountains. I actually felt like I was a little bit under the weather, but right when we got back home, I don't know, I got a little bit of a second wind. So hopefully all is good there. Before I dive in, huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com. 35 plus million cards in the database. Baseball, football, basketball. Speaking of basketball, I picked up a few 2012 Prism Silver cards on COMC, and actually these are separately. I got these on eBay, but Tony Kukoc of your Chicago Bulls, going back to the good old days with our boy Michael Jordan. And then we've got Vince Carter, another UNC beast. 2012 Prism Silvers. I've been picking up those. It's been kind of a fun little deal. COMC is the place to be. Make sure to check out my links down below. Guys, Hes Auctions is active right now. Hes has got a concert-used Kurt Cobain guitar. They've got all sorts of wickedness, sports cards, comic books, action figures, all the goodness. Make sure to check out Hes Auctions. I'm going to be on Wednesday night with Alex Winter, the president of Hes, for our live stream to go over their huge November auction. All right, Nick over at Sports Card Madness put out a really good video about Fanatics maybe possibly in the future exiting sports cards. And before you might think like, oh my God, who's this guy Nick? Like, who's he to say? Well, Nick actually does have a background in finance, investing in companies, working with large companies, and so on and so forth. And so he does know his stuff. The thing has like 10,000 views and it's a day old. It's been crushing this video, but he does his homework, kind of lays out the groundwork of what he's talking about. And so I thought, you know what? Let's react to Nick's video. Make sure to check out Sports Card Madness, and I'll put a link to Nick's video in the video description down below. But one thing that he talked about that I thought was really interesting. First off, he talks about Ruben selling, what did he sell off? About $1 billion of stock or something like that. And this was going back, I remember people talking about this at the National. Going back where Ruben had sold off some stock, there was some chit chat about Fanatics and their financials and everything else. But honestly, though, I didn't really think anything of it. I decided, well, people are talking, no big deal, whatever. Nick breaks down the numbers at 2024, not looking as good as 2023 for Fanatics. And he says there is an ultimate goal for Fanatics of an IPO. And I'd heard rumors of this too. I don't know if this is some sort of a secret or anything, or if this is pretty well known that Fanatics is going to IPO at some point. They're going to go public. And of course, when companies like this that are this size, we're talking about tens of billions of dollars, when they go public, then you have all sorts of investor money flowing in, all the retail investors like you and me and everybody else, we have access. And so basically what happens is money floods in and the company is public now. So you don't really have liquidity problems when you go public, but you've got all sorts of other things that you have to deal with. Of course, a lot more pressure from shareholders now of, okay, let's do quarterly calls to see like where are earnings and where's everything going and how's everything looking. It's no secret that we have a new product mess right now with football and basketball in particular, where, of course, you got Panini that still has a licensing here for the next couple of years. So they're making the licensed products. Fanatics is coming out with unlicensed products, but they're signing athletes to exclusive auto deals. So they've got Wembanyama and Topps Chrome, for example. It's unlicensed Topps Chrome, but you're getting Wembanyama autographs. And then Panini can't put Wembanyama autographs into their stuff. So there's no Wembanyama National Treasures. There's no flawless Wembanyama autographs. Of course, the Prism products don't have autographs. So it is kind of a mess with new product currently between Panini and Topps battling it out. They're in lawsuits and so forth. Every week I feel like we're talking about how there's this new release that is more expensive than what we've seen in the past. I think it was just Bowman Draft Baseball just came out, I believe. And I saw comparisons in Facebook groups and all over the place of, man, this jumbo box used to be this price and now it's that price. It's always higher though. That's the thing that I've noticed. It's not as if like the new 2024 product, it's actually down $50 or $100 from where it was last year or a couple years ago. It always seems like the pricing is a little bit higher. One thing that Nick talks about, a big profit center, which makes absolute sense for Topps, is Topps Now. I mean, Topps Now, my God. Just the idea that you can have a moment, you can have a certain special sports moment, and then you create a card on that moment and you're able to sell 100,000 of those cards for $5 or $10 or $20 or whatever it is. It's literally printing money. And then, of course, you throw in a chase card in there to where, oh, you buy the Topps Now card, but you might get an autographed version. You might get a numbered parallel or something. The only problem with that, though, is kind of the same issue that we have with just parallels and regular releases, is that it just gets so diluted and watered down. What makes any of these special if there's always another Topps Now product coming out? If it's every week, couple weeks, month, then what makes these things special as we go through a season? Oh, we have someone that just scored 50 points, Topps Now card. Well, what if they score 50 points again? Or, it's like, it's never ending. But I can see why Topps, of course, loves to do it because it is literally just printing money. So Topps Now, Nick talks about how Topps Now is a huge profit center, which makes complete sense when you look at how that stuff is being marketed and sold. But Nick makes the bold prediction that Fanatics will divest. They will move off of Topps after the IPO eventually. Now, of course, it's just a prediction. We haven't heard anything from Fanatics on that front. But I guess that's kind of the big thing, is all this effort and energy to kind of build up the business, to get the IPO locked in. And then once we get the IPO locked in, then eventually, maybe it's a couple years, few years later, they kind of just move off of the stuff that maybe isn't, a profit center for them, or maybe it just doesn't make sense anymore. It certainly is possible. It might never happen like that. Maybe Topps will always be under the Fanatics umbrella, but I thought it was just interesting. And for some people, I think that they don't care about any of this. And I know maybe average collector doesn't really care about this. I like paying attention to the business moves that are happening in the hobby. Why are things happening the way that they are? And trying to figure out what's next. I think that that's really fun and just smart. Also, if we're putting money into the space, what does that mean if Fanatics does move off of Topps and you don't have a multi-billion dollar company backing it, giving it all the marketing dollars and so forth, then what? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing for trading cards moving forward? And again, as we always say, even if new product is complete garbage moving forward, there's still 100 plus years of cards to look back on and collect and so forth. It does suck for people that are trying to collect kind of the active player, the new player coming up, because I think that a lot of us, for me, I don't collect really anybody that's an active player for the most part. But, at times it might be like, oh, this would be kind of cool to just kind of speculate on this player or that player. But you don't want to have something where you have a great draft class, but there's just no confidence in new product because it's not good quality or it's overpriced or whatever. The distribution model, like we've talked about with carnival games and breaking and repacking and all the other crazy bullshit, maybe that turns people off. I made it abundantly clear on my channel how I feel about kind of the direction of the hobby as far as new product distribution goes and just the overall attitude of it. Just putting all the chips to the middle of the table, pun intended, on the gambling side. That just feels like what it is. A lot of collector talk, but when I'm looking at the distribution, I'm thinking like, what does that have to do with collectors though? And there's a massive disconnect there. There's a huge disconnect. But anyway, I digress. What do you think about this? Will Fanatics eventually move out of the trading card space? Does that bring Panini back into the fold in 3, 4, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years? Or is it just Fanatics doing some maneuvering around and they will keep Topps and they will keep on trying to promote trading cards, collectibles, and stay in the space over the long term? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, my friends. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.